Welcome everyone to today's webinar hosted by Caring.com with our special guest, Suzette Graham from Patriot Angels. Patriot Angels is dedicated to supporting wartime veterans and their spouses who may be eligible for VA benefits from the Aid and Attendance Pension Program. Sadly, despite these funds being set aside to assist in offsetting the cost of senior care, only a very small portion, last estimated at 1.6% of all eligible recipients, are accessing these benefits today. So we hope that by sharing more information on the Aid and Attendance Program, we can help increase that number and assist veterans and their spouses in accessing better senior living and senior care options. So we're so excited to have you here today. This is a very popular event. We've had record registration, so thank you so much for tuning in. And as we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items for today's webinar. So first off, this is a one-way webcast, meaning only the presenters from Caring and Patriot Angels will have video and audio throughout today's presentation. However, we'd still love to hear from you. At any point throughout the webinar, please submit your questions using the Q&A section within Zoom. We will be answering those live at the end of today's presentation. And one of the most common questions that we receive is, will this webinar be recorded? And the answer is yes. We are recording today, and we plan to distribute out both the recording as well as the slides over the next couple of days. So this free webinar is brought to you by Caring.com. Now, for anyone joining who is unfamiliar with Caring, Caring is a leading online resource for senior living and senior care. Our organization was founded by caregivers for caregivers. Our flagship website, Caring.com, was created and launched in 2007 to equip family caregivers to make better decisions, save time and money, feel less alone and less stressed in providing senior care to their loved ones. Today, we have a portfolio of websites and referral services that millions of people use to research senior care online. And thousands of senior living communities and home care agencies partner with Caring to reach their target audience who is actively looking for these senior care options online. So one of the many reasons that care seekers turn to Caring is for our high integrity reviews program. We have over 350,000 reviews, and over 50,000 of those were added in 2021 alone. So to kick off today's presentation, first I'm happy to introduce Suzette Graham. Now, I am Olivia Duke. I'm the moderator for today's presentation, but Suzette is our expert when it comes to the VA benefits and the options. And Suzette founded Patriot Angels in order to help advocate on behalf of senior wartime veterans and continues to lead the organization as their CEO today. So Suzette, would you like to introduce yourself and share more about Patriot Angels?
Thank you, Olivia, for having me on today. I'm very excited to be on here to speak about VA benefits. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the attendees. I'm excited about the number of attendees that did register for this. I actually founded Patriot Angels in 2012 as a safe place for veterans and widows to be able to come to get their benefits. I've had a lifetime of advocate work. I was a child advocate in Alaska, head of the foster parent organization, moved to Tennessee and started helping homeowners in foreclosure keep from losing their homes. And then when the market went soft, I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And I went and got a job. And at that job, I found that not everybody is out to get benefits when they say they are. And so I quickly had the opportunity to start my own company to help veterans and widows so that we could see the project from the beginning to the end and see these people be able to get these benefits that they so deserve, that they earned while they were in the military, and something to assist them in being able to afford senior living. It's just a huge program through the VA and so underutilized. And so thank you again for inviting me on.
Absolutely. And now, you introduced Patriot Angels a little already, but I think there's one number on here that jumps off the slide if you'd like to speak more to that.
The amount of money that they can get monthly, or the amount that we've helped with. So right now, a veteran married to a veteran can receive $3,253 a month for monthly to go straight to their pocket to help them pay for care. But the bigger number that I think you're talking about is how much money that Patriot Angels has been able to provide for veterans and widows since our start. And we are almost at $500 million. $500 million going into the pockets of veterans and widows to be able to pay for senior housing. That's a huge number. And just last year alone, it was 104 million that we've been able to access for our veterans and their widows.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So excited to have Suzette here to speak with us about the Aid and Attendance Pension Program. And just to cover, what we'll plan to review today. First, we're going to provide an overview of what that pension program is and really what is allotted as potential benefits, depending on, different requirements. And we'll dive a little deeper into the pain points for seniors when it comes to accessing those benefits. We'll also cover different ways you can assist your current and potential residents and clients when it comes to accessing those benefits. And then finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways, and we will end the session with a live Q&A. So I already see a couple questions coming through, and keep those coming. And at the end, we will be addressing those live. So
Perfect.
Now I will be handing it over to Suzette to share her expertise and walk us through the Aid and Attendance Pension Program.
Thank you, Olivia. So as we talk about VA benefits, this is a very little known benefit to most veterans and widows. They don't know that this benefit is out there to help them pay for care. And even if they do know, it's very difficult for them to maneuver through the VA system, to know what they have to send with their applications, what forms have to be added to the application that they're able, if they get it from the local VA or the local VSO office, what are the requirements? What are the rules? So that's something that I want to go through first, is kind of what are the rules for the veteran and the widow. So the eligibility is pretty basic. The veteran had to be at least 65 years of age and or 100% disabled. So if they're under 65, but they're unable to work, they're still eligible. They have to have served at least 90 active duty days during the military time, and that does not include training. So active duty after training, at least one of those days during a declared wartime. So one day during World War II, Korea, Vietnam, of course, Persian Gulf is coming in now, but at least one day during wartime with an honorable medical or a general discharge. The widow can be any age. The rules of a widow is she had to have been married to the veteran at least 1 year, and it didn't have to be during the service time, just end of life, at least 1 year, and still single today. If the widow remarries, it cuts off benefits depending on the service time. So there was a period of a few years where she could, if the veteran died, remarry. As long as that marriage ended, she could go back off the first veteran service time. So there is some complications to discerning if you are eligible or not, but that is actually something that we're able to do to find those out for you. So the war times are obviously World War II veterans. There's not many of those left, but we are still serving and seeing the World War II widows, the Korean veterans and their widows. The Vietnam is coming in much younger. We're seeing our average age that we were seeing was 83, and now we're seeing Vietnam come in early 70s, due probably to Agent Orange exposure, things like that during their service time. And then there is some questionable times during Vietnam that from 55 to 64, if they were boots on ground or on a ship within 12 nautical miles of Vietnam, they're eligible. Otherwise, from 64 to 75, they just had to have been enlisted. And of course, Persian Gulf, the rules changed in Persian Gulf. They had to have served at least 2 years, 24 months active duty, or one tour called up to duty. If they were in the reserves and called up to Iraq or Iran and they served the entire time, then they too are eligible. So there's a little bit to determining eligibility on service times, but don't let that dissuade you from sending somebody forward to see if they qualify for benefits or not. So the aid and attendance program was created. We can take it back as far as Washington, but Lincoln is the one that made statements about it's our job to protect these widows and their orphans. And so we can date it back that far, but every single year, this is a pension that is, the money is earmarked through the VA for our veterans or widows. Unfortunately, so many of them don't know about it. They don't apply for it, or even if they do apply, it's difficult to get. But the reason it was earmarked is to help supplement the cost of care for a veteran once they reach the age or in need of care. So the doctor can say that they want them in a protective environment. That's enough. Or they need 2 ADLs, such as standby for bathing or standby for dressing. That's enough. And the amount that the VA will pay for a veteran, a single veteran, is up to $2,050 a month, every single month, straight to their bank account to help them pay for care. If it's a married veteran, it's $2,431. And if it's a surviving spouse, it's $1,318. That goes a long way in helping somebody pay for senior care or even make the decision to move into senior housing. It goes up every year with Social Security. And as many of you may know, Social Security is going up substantially this year, 8.7%. So that's going to put a couple hundred more dollars a month in the pension pockets of each one of these veterans and widows. That's huge. That's huge when they think that they're on a fixed budget and that they have minimum amounts of income or assets. This goes a long way in making a decision to move in sooner or to close that back door on senior living and allow them to stay in longer. It's a huge benefit to access if it's done correctly. So benefits can be applied to for qualifying couples and individuals towards skilled nursing as long as it's private pay. So skilled nurse in Medicaid, they do not double stack. Independent living, assisted living, memory care, in-home care, adult daycare even, and then paying a non-spousal family caregiver can also be the one getting the care. Now, the spouse can't be paid, but a family member can be paid for care. Now, I do want to go back to independent living because a lot of people are like, what? You can get an independent living? And the answer is yes, you can. Here's the rules. The independent living community has to either have 24-hour caregiver that will respond to a call for help. So custodial care means somebody that will respond to a call for help. If you do not have 24-hour staffing that will respond to a call for help, then the client needs to be getting 2 ADLs. And those 2 ADLs can be from a third party. They can be from a child. It can even, in that case, be from a spouse, as long as the spouse is not being paid for the care. So yes, independent living. Assisted living just has to be a protective environment, and they're qualified. Again, skilled nursing, as long as it's private pay and not Medicaid. And of course, memory care. Memory care is an automatic approval for VA benefits, but they still have to be paying out equal to or more than their income on their care to get the full benefit. So these are all things that we look at when somebody calls making that decision. You know, what do we need to be paying? What kind of care do we need to be getting? What if it is an independent living? We will walk them through the entire program, and you, if you're a community, on how to access these benefits for your clients.
Wonderful. And I think that's a great, segue into, you spoke about the benefits. So why is it that so few are taking advantage of these benefits today?
Well, most people got out of the military when they were in their 20s and 30s. So on their exit interview, even if they were told about aid and attendance when you've reached the age of 65 or older, and again, most of ours are 83, they don't remember that, right? And then if you do go to a local VA and ask, is there any care? Some of the first questions are, how much is mom paying? Well, mom may still be living at home and looking to move into senior living or looking to bring in care providers and not paying anything yet. So then that is, she's not eligible yet. So because remember, you have to be paying equal to or more than your care for these benefits. It's kind of a payback. Once you're paying out, you can be reimbursed. And so it's, first of all, it's difficult to remember from the time that they got out of the military. And then it's just hard to know about a benefit that you've never heard of, right? So you may go to, a community and somebody tells you about these benefits, and that may be the first time they've ever even heard of it. And then how do you get it? How do you get through all this paperwork? I tell you, our applications when we're done are anywhere from 150 to 150 pages, depending on the client. There's so much information that you have to gather just to make it a foolproof application to get through the VA.
And so even to look at those numbers, the stats show just how difficult that process is, right?
Right. No, 100%. And the thing is anywhere in a senior housing, 30 to 50% of the residents are veterans or widows. Again, like you said, 1.6% are getting their benefits. So there's so many people out there that are eligible or potentially eligible for these benefits that haven't accessed them, haven't tried, have been told they don't qualify, or don't even know about these benefits. And so it's a huge opportunity for senior living, for sales and marketing, to open the door for more candidates to be able to come in, or close the door. Again, depending on where the community is, 30 to 50% are veterans or widows in their populated area. And the common pain points, like we spoke about, most of them don't even know it exists. And then it's difficult to apply. So how do you know you have to move in first? Or how do you know what kind of what kind of ADLs do you need to be getting? Or can you just go in on a protective environment? And what does the doctor's form have to say to get you approved? What do you have to prove as far as income and assets? What about your bank statements? What about, bank accounts that you may have closed in the last year? What about gifting in the last 3 years? Because the VA has a 3-year look back. What about asset limitations or income limitations? So there are a lot of things that you have to look at to consider. So a lot of people go, oh man, that's too much work. And it is a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people go, oh, why would I even try? Well, why wouldn't you try? This is an opportunity to get this benefit, to allow your veterans and widows to be able to stay in your community and pay for care. So yes, is it a pain? Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie. There's forms the community has to sign off, the doctor's form, and then there has to be, the forms that the family, if it's a caregiver, has to sign off. But we walk them through all the process painfully, all the way through to the end to get the application completed, submitted, and approved through the VA.
And we see it on the caring side as well, of just how few people are aware of these benefits out there. Our family advisors are speaking to thousands and thousands of seniors as they look for care. And even though I'm on the marketing side of the business, it's actually something that as we onboard at Caring, everyone works as a family advisor and is trained as a family advisor. So I was on some of those phone calls where every person who calls in, we're asking them, were you a veteran, or are you the widow or spouse of a veteran? And I distinctly remember one phone call where I'm speaking with this gentleman. He doesn't seem too enthusiastic to be looking senior living. He was unsure about his budget, and really, and frankly, he didn't have a large budget to work with. And I said, well, were you a veteran? Did you serve? And he said, yes. What difference does that make? I was like, well, did you know that you could be eligible for these benefits? He had no idea. And just to hear that hope in his voice as he realized, oh, that could really help my options. That could really help me get into these communities that could be a great fit for me. And so that partnership that, Caring has with Patriot Angels in order to help people access these benefits, it's that awareness piece that is huge as well.
Olivia, you know that it's sticker shock when families start looking for senior housing. And generally, it's an emergency situation. Mom has fallen, broken her hip. She's in the hospital. Doctor says she can't be alone anymore. Now, what do we do? And then they go to a community and they go, oh my gosh, So if they are a veteran or widow, they hear about it. They start researching it on the VA website. And the VA website says a veteran can't make more than $16,000 in a year to be eligible. And then they stop right there. They go, well, we're on a fixed budget, but it's not that fixed, right? But what it doesn't go on to explain is that, but if you move into senior living and you're paying out equal to or more than your income, the VA says your income is zero or negative. So now you are qualified for that benefit. Or it will tell you that the amount that you're eligible for is in assets you're allowed to have is under $138,000. That's what it is until the end of this year. And then that number also goes up 8.7%. But a lot of people go, well, mom does have a little more than that. It's in the bank account. But what they don't know is that if mom's son or daughter has been on the bank account for more than 3 years, then it's considered half mom's and half the son or daughter's. So now mom's assets fall in line. So those are all preconceived ideas of I'm not eligible that should be looked into again. They should do a deeper dive to see, okay, maybe mom is eligible, or maybe mom can be made eligible for these benefits.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how you can help veterans if you think that they might be eligible. So Suzette, let's talk what options do people have?
So as far as they can ask the veteran or widow, are you a veteran or widow? Did you serve at least 90 days active duty, 1 day during a wartime? And if the answer is yes, then they can go to the VA, 100%. It's free to go to the VA. And I absolutely always say, look at your options. Always look at your options. Again, here, payingforseniorcare.com and your veterans. What is out there for you? How can you get these benefits? Of course, you can come to us, patriotangels.com. We're there to help. We want to assess the veteran or widow to see if they are eligible or not. And then if they're not, can they be made eligible? If they divorce the veteran to widow, if he doesn't have the correct service times, we're going to look into all those things and we're going to let them know up front you're not eligible. But if in fact we can assist them to become eligible, we're going to do that. We're going to help them get through this process to get this benefit for them. So the way that we work and is just that what you'd contact us and we'll do a free evaluation to see, are you eligible or not? Can you be made eligible or not? If your client cannot be made eligible, we're going to tell them right then, you're not eligible. But if we see that you can be made eligible, then we're going to move you through our process. Our average time to approval right now is 97 days from the time we meet the client to approval. Are there others that are taking longer? Sure. Are there others that are quicker? Sure. But that's our average time right now. The fact that we know what has to be gathered for the application is a huge benefit to your clients, because they, if they're trying to do it on their own, or there was somebody who doesn't really know how to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to give you our experience. We're going to walk them through. We like to say that we're a white glove service because we're going to walk you through the program. we're going to stay with you. And then we're going to put it into a VA portal that's going to go straight to the VA so that they get it every time. Then if the VA does ask for additional information, we're going to answer those questions for the client to make sure that they're answered correctly on the right forms, to not delay the process. We're going to do everything that we can to assist your clients to get the benefits because they've earned it, because they deserve it. They deserve the care that you're going to be giving these clients. That's why we do this.
Absolutely. And just to even, you spoke to it a little bit there, but just to kind of reiterate your process, that first call of, are you even eligible? That's the free consultation, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh, no. And I was going to say, we spoke to this a little bit, you know, as we were talking, but you mentioned there's something to watch out for when it comes to filing. So the charges associated with Patriot Angels, what are they actually attached to and what are they definitely not attached to?
So we absolutely have a fee. That's how we keep our doors open. Our fee is $11.95. It's a one-time fee to the family. We don't take monthly after that. We don't take any of their benefit after that. It is for a long-term care assessment. Our long-term care assessment is a 16-page assessment we're going to do based on that client alone, that client's information. What are they eligible for? What can they be eligible for? What other things might be out there that they could, that they would be eligible for and able to obtain? That is the fee. Then after the consultation, they will have a legal consultation. After that consultation, they will be sent a form asking, would they like us to do the application on their behalf? No additional fee. It is against the law for somebody to charge, to prepare, prosecute, or present a claim before the VA unless they're VA accredited. You can do it one time in your life if you're not VA accredited. Otherwise, you have to be VA accredited to present these forms or to do an application for a veteran or widow, and you cannot charge for that. So we charge for the long-term care assessment. Like we talked to Olivia the other day, client communities will say, can we pay for this? They can pay for the long-term care assessment. They cannot pay somebody to do the application on behalf of their residents. The reason is the community is an interested third party according to the VA. So the community can never pay for somebody to do an application before the VA for one of the residents. However, they can pay for the long-term care assessment if that's something they want to do. Otherwise, the family member can pay for it. Again, it's the one-time payment of $11.95 that is charged after we have determined the client is eligible or potentially eligible. We can't say eligible, that's against the law, but potentially eligible for this benefit. We move forward those clients. We do the application on their behalf. Again, we submit it to them, to the VA on their behalf, and we stay with the client long-term. So we have lots of them that come back later. Hey, dad passed away. Now we need to, help mom through it. So we actually just passed 14,000 approvals last week, which is very exciting. And we have about 4,000 in process at any one time, helping these veterans and widows get through this benefit process. So.
Oh, wow. And based on the numbers of 1.6% that are eligible, the fact you've helped 14,000 is huge. And I know that number is growing.
Last year alone, Patriot Angels was responsible for 11.11% of all the approvals across the nation. Wow. That's exciting because that's with the VA, the VSOs, the VFWs, the American Legions. They're all great organizations. But we are one location that did 11.11% of all the approvals. That we're pretty proud of that.
Well, and, thinking about our audience of senior living and senior care providers, just thinking about, companies like Patriot Angels, they're helping increase the overall, industry size and the funding available for our seniors to get the care they need. And so thinking about, how you can use Patriot Angels we've talked about how complex this process can be. Their experience can help, potentially qualify more of your residents or help your residents, as you said, prevent the back door.
Olivia, I can't hear you now.
I bumped my microphone.
Oh.
Let me see. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I just was so excited about the great progress, and so bumped my microphone. Sorry about that. But as you're saying, just this is another tool that providers can use to help their residents. So we have a lot of questions coming in, so I do want to cover those. And first, I will hit on our key takeaways from today. So in summary, really what we want you to walk away from today's presentation is first and foremost, a better understanding of the aid and attendance pension program,
Right.
and awareness that these benefits are increasing in 2023. So not only are they out there, they are going to be increasing with inflation. And so we want you to know that and be prepared and be ready to help any veterans that you work with. We also want you to have more insight into why this process is so difficult for veterans and their spouses. And then finally, knowing that you have the option to connect residents and clients with Patriot Angels for that eligibility consultation, and they will serve as the advocate to assist them in accessing these benefits as well. So that does conclude the content portion of today's presentation, but we have a lot of questions that have come through. So, and I know that Suzette is such a wealth of knowledge on this program that I'm excited for her to address these for you. And I think, some we address later in the presentation, but we're happy to circle back on any if you want to keep submitting. There's one question that has been coming through a lot, and that is this session recorded and can we get slides? The answer to both of those is yes. We are recording today's session, and following today's webinar, I will be sending out both the slides and the recording to everyone who registered, and you'll also find them on our website, partners.caring.com. All right, so my first question for you, Suzette, is what state is Patriot Angels able to operate in? Are you nationwide?
We're a nationwide company. It's a federal benefit. So because it's federal, we are able to do it in all states. So yeah, we're nationwide.
Wonderful. And this came through early on, but just to reiterate, what's the payment structure like for Patriot Angels? Is it a flat fee or another format?
It's a flat fee. It's $11.95 for a flat fee for a long-term care assessment prior to the legal consultation and before we do the application for the client. That's the law that we work under. But we do not take on people that aren't eligible. I'd like to reiterate that again. If we see that they've divorced the veteran, they don't have the service time, they have way too much money, things like that, we're going to let them know up front. We're not going to charge somebody to do a long-term care assessment. We are going to, however, if they are potentially eligible, and then move them forward and see if they want to move forward to do the application or not. So
great. If a veteran is getting other VA benefits, can they still receive aid and attendance?
Great question. That is really good. So if a veteran is receiving service connected, it depends on how much they're receiving. If they're 100% disabled, they can get an upgrade of aid and attendance. But generally the VA doesn't double stack. So if they're getting, let's say, 10 or 20% service connected, which is, $110 to $400 depending, then they will replace that with this $2,050. Okay, so they'll get whichever is higher. If again they're getting 100%, they can get an upgrade, and that upgrade can be anywhere from $355 to $800 depending on what service and all of that. So there's a lot more to that, but the answer is yes. Sometimes they can double stack.
It's worth checking, is what
right. Absolutely.
Great. Does National Guard duty count?
No, it does not. I'm so sorry. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Only time National Guard works is if the veteran that was in National Guard was called up to active duty and they had to have served at least 90 days active duty. We actually had one come through the other day that was called up for 89 days. Does not work. Has to be at least 90 days. And one of those days during a declared wartime by the VA, that's the only way National Guard does work.
Got it. And you addressed this a little bit, but do they have to be on Medicaid to get these benefits? I have private pay Medicare seniors, or I have private pay plans.
Medicaid does not work.
It's not.
If they're getting Medicaid and Medicaid's paying for all their care, then they don't get they get $90 VA benefit. Okay. If they're on Medicaid getting just their prescriptions filled, then yeah, they can get this because they're private pay. But this is more for private pay.
And we spoke a little bit about eligibility and how disability can play into that. Can they still drive? Or if someone can drive, are they still eligible?
The veteran, if we're applying, is not supposed to be driving because the VA says the doctor needs to say they need to be in a protective environment or in need of at least 2 ADLs. I do want to clarify one thing. If you're an independent living in Texas, you have to get 2 ADLs. The client has to get 2 ADLs in Texas. But it's difficult to, say, yeah, they're driving, but they need help bathing and dressing. So the VA requires, or we just don't say, hey, they're still driving, but they're not supposed to be.
Got it. And we have one great question here. Where can I get all the rules mentioned today that are not on the slides? Well, we are going to be sending out this recording, so you will have that. But I think really, as you mentioned, it's about asking those questions and then not allowing people to rule themselves out,
Right.
and the experience that you all have can help them dig deeper and go further.
One of the things that we say is just ask, are you a veteran or widow? Did you serve at least 1 day during a wartime and 90 active duty days? And even if they're not sure of that, they just go, well, we know that dad served during, Korea. Send them. We have a sister company called Angels Research, and Angels Research will research their service time. They will research to find their DD 214 or their military records. I mean, they've gone as far as to call cemeteries to get pictures of headstones. They research newspapers. They research the archives. So we will also try to find service times if you're not exactly sure of dad or mom's service time.
Got it. And this is another question that plays off of that. What is the number to call and check out their benefits to apply? So we shared that number on the slide, and we'll be sending those out along with an email recap as well. So you'll have that in your inbox soon.
Good.
And this question is aid and attendance based on the cost of care paid? As an example, if home care costed $1,000 a month, what would it pay, or would that change what the aid and attendance is?
Well, it does. So let's say mom brings in $1,200, and is only paying out $1,000 a month for care. Then that $200 mom is positive. The VA is going to subtract that monthly from the benefit. So there is a point where the VA says, okay, you have too much money. We're not going to give you the benefit or any part of it. So we look at all those things with you. If you're paying $40 a week and your income is $4,000, you're not going to get the benefit. So we kind of take a look at how close are you to paying out what you bring in for the benefit. If you're paying out equal to, it's like $50 more than your income, you get the full benefit.
And I know you mentioned, who was present at the time, but when did the aid and attendance program begin? Is the question.
Well, nobody really knows. We do know that Abraham Lincoln is the first that said, it is our duty to bore the to board the, I'm trying to remember the quote right now, of the widow and the veterans. So it's our job to take, I mean, the widow and the orphans. So it's our job to take care of the families of the service men and women that we sent out. So we know we can date it back that far.
So a very long time. And
A long time.
and how long does the entire application process take from submittal to approval? And I think you mentioned it can vary, but the average.
So it depends on how, if the family's quick at getting us the information we need, because there's documents that we need that we can't get, okay? By law, we can't get them. So we'll send you the list of the documents that we need before we make the application. So it all depends on how long it takes the family. But the first form that we will send to the VA is a form just letting the VA know we're going to be applying for benefits for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Hey, VA, putting you on notice, and that gives them a lock-in date with the VA. Then, depending on how long it takes to gather the information, and each one's different, each one's more, one may be complex, one may be fairly simple, but once we gather all the documents, we will then make the application, and that's just a matter of 3 or 4 days. We get it made, we submit it to the VA through a direct portal to the VA, and then we wait. And then it's up to the mercy of whoever gets it, the adjudicator. Many of them are done very quickly, a week or two. Some will take 90 days. So it just kind of depends on who gets it at the VA at that point.
And when it comes to the benefits, when do they begin? Is it at approval or is it at submission?
No. So once we send that first form to the VA saying, hey, VA, we're going to be applying. So let's say we sent it today, December 1st would be the start date. It's always the first day of the next month. So then we're going to gather all the documents. We're going to submit the application to the VA. The VA is going to take whatever time they need. They may have questions. They may see an account that got closed last year that the family member didn't know about or forgot about. And so they're going to ask those questions and we're going to send it in. We're going to respond. And then once the client gets approved, they will be approved all the way back to December 1st, that start date that we initially got them.
Great. And this question, where do you find veteran clients? So I'm not sure if that's actually addressed, directly to Patriot Angels. Where do you find your clients or not? But, I can tell you, for one thing, make sure you're asking your clients that you already have if they are veterans. And if you are looking to expand your client base or boost your occupancy, caring.com, of course, can help you with that. But Suzette, how do a lot of veterans find out about Patriot Angels today?
Well, generally through caring.com will send us, or communities will ask, send us their leads. We don't normally go out and look for veterans and widows, a lot of word of mouth, and everybody knows a veteran. Everybody knows a veteran or has a family member that's a veteran or has a family member that has a veteran in their family. So you're not too far off from a veteran yourself. And so, it's just asking, like Olivia said, are you a veteran or widow? Contact this company and see if there's benefits. Do you have any friends that are veterans or widows? I know some communities will run ads. Some will have, we'll do a lot of Zooms with communities that will bring in clients. So whatever you need from us, we're there to help. But generally, we don't reach out for the veterans.
Got it. And we have another question. What if the veteran is on passport or waiver program? Could you weigh in on that? And for some,
no. they had to have served in the U.S. military. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter where they live. I mean, we've helped veterans that live in Puerto Rico. Of course, that's the U.S. and we can help all those. But we've helped in Chile. We've helped them in the Philippines. Wherever they choose to live is fine. It's just, did they serve in the U.S. military during those service times?
And I think, just on that note as well, for some of these specific questions, we are more than happy to connect offline and go into the details, and you'll have the contact information as well following this presentation.
And please ask, because I absolutely would want to answer your questions.
Great. Well, I think we may have too many questions to address live, which is a great sign that, it's been great engagement throughout this presentation. So thank you so much for joining. But a lot of these questions, they fall under two categories that we have covered. So hopefully you understand the fee structure that's associated with Patriot Angels now. And then also the webinar has been recorded, and we will be sending that out, and we will be sending slides as well. So with that, we are going to go ahead and conclude today's presentation. Thank you all so much for joining. We at Caring, of course, welcome your feedback on today's webinar. And if there are any topics that you'd like to hear from us in the future, we'd love to know about that. So just simply fill out our survey that's going to pop up as this webinar closes, and you can let us know. And you can also contact us through the phone number listed here, as well as the emails if you'd like to learn more about a partnership with Caring. To stay on top of our upcoming trainings, I encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, as well as visit our industry website, partners.caring.com, which is one of the places where we'll be sharing the webinar recording and the slides later on. So with that, Suzette, thank you so much for joining today and sharing all of your expertise on this program. With Veterans Day coming up next week, so excited that we could spend this time all together to support our veterans in getting, this additional aid for senior living. So with that, we will let everyone get back to the commendable work of helping seniors, and we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much.